announce this live, but this is a commission video by many of my subscribers who have already donated. Some have requested profusely for me to get around to do Rahu and Ketu, of course, which will be a totally separate video. So let us begin by summoning Rahu so we get our queries answered. We get to the bottom of the archetype and we understand how the planetary, the shadowy planet, it's not really a planet, it's a point in the sky. It's a node, the north node of the moon. Okay, and without the moon, there would be no procreation, no regeneration. So the moon is also deeply connected with Rahu. But before that, let us begin with the Bij mantra of Rahu, which is Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. So we know that Rahu Dasha or Rahu Mahadasha can result in a lot of troubles, especially if Rahu is badly placed in your Kundli chart or Nakshatra chart. If it's badly placed, you shall see that there will be many kinds of complications, complications that arise because of Rahu in your life, in your natal chart, in your karma. Now, Rahu is always a point of addition. It takes us, it propels us towards the future. It takes us to a point which is not familiar to us, but somehow our soul pushes us to get there. So the Rahu seed mantra is Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. And his Vedic mantra is Ardhakayang Mahaghoram Chandraditya Bimardakam Singhikaya Sutang Raudrang Tang Rahum Pranamamyaham. This is Rahu's Vedic mantra. Okay, and I told you the tantric beach is Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. Okay, so this is how you invoke Rahu, especially if you are going through a turbulent dasha or mahadasha or antardasha bhukti of Rahu. Now, let us understand that Rahu is not always an easy planet to deal with, right? It's not. The tail of the dragon is Ketu, and the head of the dragon or the snake, the demon snakes, is Rahu, the demon snake. These guys, they were the only ones that were spotted drinking the Amrit, which came out of Shirasagara after the churning. So now what happened is that when the Devatas spotted them, Vishnu dissected the snake, cut them into half, and the head became Rahu and the tail became Ketu. Right now, Rahu, of course, some say he also rules Aquarius with Saturn. He has a very prominent nakshatra, Satavisha, in Aquarius that he rules. He also rules Ardra and he also rules Swati. So, very interesting nakshatras Rahu rules. I'll get into that. But let us also understand that Rahu signifies dreams, wicked women, immoral women, association with immoral women. Now, a lot of this I find has tinges of patriarchal understanding. So, what is an immoral woman in the eyes of patriarchy? Maybe these women were way ahead of their times and maybe they spoke out, and Rahu can also indicate malicious speech or very hardcore way of expressing something, subversive acts as well. So we must understand that to a certain point, Rahu does deal with mental delinquency. But when we think about, bipolar or schizophrenia, a lot of the resolution scientists are now discovering is in the dreams. And Rahu does also rule dreams. Okay, the energy of Rahu is almost like a compulsive energy. And because it has no body, Rahu is always hungry. So wherever Rahu will be placed, that will be an area in your life which will constantly propel you towards a greater appetite than anything else. So, if it's the first house, you're driven to assert self-identity. If it's the second house, you fight to get money in some way. Okay, third house could have to do with siblings. I'll get to the Lal Kitab understanding of Rahu also if we have time in this. Because understanding the Lal Kitab chart actually offers a lot of remedies to work with the planets. But Lal Kitab is not your Kundli chart. It is a special annular chart that is drawn up at the beginning of the year, and certain remedies are performed throughout the year. So we may get the better planetary rays or the planetary energies of those yeah. So imagine that, right? So we need to use the correct planetary energy of Rahu. And it's pretty interesting because, like I said, Rahu deals with harsh speech in one way. Rahu also deals with research of all kinds. So, Rahu in the 8th house will be a relentless investigator, because at 8th house, deals with the spaces of investigation and deep psychological drilling. Hello. Deep psychological drilling. So Ketu over there is going to make one compulsive to get to the truth. And I told you that the energy of Rahu is compulsive. Now, Rahu also signifies life in foreign lands. Okay, in multiple charts, including your D9 chart, you can see that Rahu will tell you, will you live abroad or not? Will you make a living abroad or not? If even you go abroad, will it be as a tourist or will you migrate there? All of this can be seen through Rahu. And of course, during Rahu Dashas, you will see all of these motifs come to head, where you will need to solve them. Okay, now traveling, of course, like for instance, a Rahu in the 9th house is a compulsive long distance traveler, or a traveler for spirituality or higher education. And like I said, there's always a compulsive side to it. In the 3rd house, the Rahu may see you traveling, shuttling back and forth, like almost like a salesman used to do back in the days, right? No, nothing like that. Rahu and Ketu are supremely important, supremely important. Without them, the puzzle would not be complete. Okay, now we've got dearth, like I don't have it, or the feeling of inadequacy, or the compulsive notion of want is again amplified by Rahu. When you feel like I need this, I don't have this, I don't have this. So Rahu in the 2nd house may always feel this want of more money, right? Want of more money. Or Rahu in the 5th house can make one extremely salacious or a philanderer. Okay, so I want more and more of this, right? So that's like something that one needs to keep in check with Rahu. Now, another thing is Rahu oftentimes, especially in the 1st house, may have moles. That person, the native, may have moles or a mark or a spot on the face, and I've seen this strikingly happen. Many clients have some kind of mark on the face. Or for instance, if they have that Rahu in the 6th house and they're getting aspected by Saturn and they have chicken pox or smallpox, then they're probably going to have marks from it. We've seen people who have marks from skin ailments, right? So all of that. Now, skin diseases of all kinds, and I mean eczema, I mean acne as well, right? Skin diseases of all kinds can be cured through Rahu. Okay, then we have that really intense where the skin goes white. I'm forgetting the name of that, sclerosis or something. It's a deadly skin disease. So that as well. And also Rahu signifies insect bites and marks left on the body because of those insect bites. So that's pretty interesting. Skin diseases of all kinds, anything, right? Yeah, but I'm not going that specific. This is a master class on Rahu. Now, another thing that I said, that reptiles of all kinds. So oftentimes a Rahu prominent person will be attracted to reptiles. They may have iguanas in the house as a pet, as a companion animal. They may also have, there's some people keep snakes. They are all Rahu people. People who have snakes, or even people who do business with snakes. Right, the Rahu in the second house, people who do business with snakes. Also sixth house, because sixth house also work, also 10th house. So all of this will depend on the chart in question. So that's something. It deals with reptiles of all kinds and an obsession with reptile, and in some cases it might show up as a phobia, against reptiles. So that's there. Reptiles are going to feature in your life. You may even have an encounter with a reptile. Okay. You may even have an encounter with a reptile. So that's the thing. And it also deals with snake bites. Snakes. So people who are snake charmers are mostly Rahu people. And also snake bites. And treating that snake bite is also Rahu. And also getting medicine from that snake bite, which many indigenous tribal people would practice. Getting the using the lethal poison as medicine. So that's something. Then, of course, we cannot forget epidemics. That's why a lot of people were hoping that coronavirus is over. But in fact, this involvement of Rahu in the last eclipse in Kritika Nakshatra, and this solar eclipse that just passed, these will be harbingers of coronavirus. And of course, hello. Yeah, I'll get to that. Just hold on. Just I cannot divert too much, okay? Because then I have a lot of ground to cover. So by the end of this masterclass, you will be sold on Rahu, right? For those of you joining later, Om Brahm Brim Brom Sa Rahu Ve Namaha is his Bij mantra. Thank you. Is his Bij mantra. Now let us get back to poisons and working with poisons, dealing with poisonous goods, shipping poisonous goods. Of course, you have to look at the house specifications with poisons. And remember, homeopathy is also a way to cure the ailment through poison. Homeopathy. Okay, belladonna is actually a poison. So, this is a very Rahu career, working with poisons. When we think of homeopathy, we don't think of poison, right? We think of it as innocuous little sugar globules. But what you must understand is homeopathy is the principle that like kills like. So, you treat an ailment with the poison. Oftentimes we say that the poison becomes the cure. This is the case with Rahu-based scenarios. Okay, lovely. So it's a very important video for you, because to understand the archetype of Rahu, because Rahu also signifies research on all levels. Maybe Saturn is a more long-term research, but nevertheless, do not underestimate the need to research within you as a push from the principle that we know as Rahu, or the north node of the moon, the head of the dragon. Okay, and the dragon is always insatiable. So that's something we need. We see this kind of wanting to play with danger, subversion. All of this falls into Rahu's rulership, right? Then we have immoral women, like I said, immoral women connections. Now, like I keep repeating, a lot of this reading is patriarchal. So there is a hint of, suppressing women who are possibly very Rahu-like. Wow. Yes, Ardra people. I have a video for your nakshatra that I've already done, Ardra. So do not miss that, all you Rahu people, because interestingly, three nakshatras that Rahu rules, Ardra, Swati, and Satavisha, are extremely unique nakshatras. I'll get to that. So this immoral women connection, this could possibly mean that love for someone who's possibly in the adult industry, a love for a prostitute, a love for somebody who is a stripper, a love for somebody who is lower than you in some way. You know, a very interesting film that I remember here is Ingmar Bergman's Sacrifice. And it has to do with this intellectual who's seeing the literal breakdown of his psyche till he goes and hugs his maid, who happens to be, and this is a Swedish film, it happens to be some kind of, low level, whatever that means, aborigine or indigenous, and he has to hug her to and he spends that time with her, and that is something that men of sophistication, and women anyway, have that instinctive power. Yeah, men have that instinctive power to wanna to inflate everything. So when you're inflating everything, women are always touching base with the earth. So sometimes when a man who's from a very civilized, refined situation, when he comes face to face with someone very down to earth, very connected to the truths of every day. Another thing that I can think of here is Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman, where we had Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. And this film was very interesting because he was a hotshot, very wealthy man who broke down companies and sold them into pieces. So he was not a creator, he was a destroyer, playing the archetype of Shiva. So he was breaking all of that down, and he meets this woman who is a prostitute, and he does not, it's not his thing to go pick up prostitutes, but he meets her because of, karma and destiny, and how he falls in love with her. And he sees all of these top level women, in his society, all with $250,000 on their neck, and what have you, and thousands of dollars on their clothes and purses and shoes. But he falls in love with this woman who happens to be somebody connected with the real world. In a sense, she's lower in status than he is, but somewhere she is closer to the truth than he is. Well, Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. Mary Magdalene was a Bhairavi, was a Tantrika. So that is again complete nonsense by patriarchy. Now here, being in love with a lower woman or immoral woman is not necessarily a bad thing, right? So we see that how Richard Gere actually starts surrendering all of his, haughty-taughty airs, his, being who he is, such a hotshot. Once he gets in touch with her and connects to her intimate space, it's a connection like none other, though she may possibly be sleeping with many men in that last week before she met him. But yet that connection of her actually in turn heals him. So he becomes that man who could, take that car from his driver, drive all the way to this rowdy neighborhood and proclaim his love for her in true Hollywood style. So we see him connecting with her, in a sense, acts as a purge. Purge, because sophistication brings with it its own set of rules, and you need to play by those rules. And sometimes when you touch base with reality, you touch base with a woman who's real, and you heal with her, you heal from her womb, coming into sexual contact with her. It's almost this very Rahu purge happening there in that case, in Pretty Woman. Okay, that was That's what I visualize that as, this, immoral women connections, and how you could heal from someone who is in that situation, whereas you may not be, you may never be in that situation, but you have a lot to take from someone who is in that situation. All of us humans are equal, all of us are the same, yes, but there is the status quo, these societal constructs we've created. So when we understand astrology, we understand the breakdown of society. We learn to label things. Yes. So imagine, it's a very Rahu thing to do, to, call her over to his hotel room, then slowly get to groom her again, Yeah, I have so many videos to do, but yeah, think about that. This connection, many astrologers will not explain this to you because they will not understand the catharsis that Ingmar Bergman's character felt in Sacrifice when he held that woman who was lower than him, or what a catharsis Richard Gere felt when he fell in love with a woman immoral. What he receives from her is epic. That's why I guess we go back and we revisit that movie, because we feel that there is this inherent connection between two people that can exist no matter what their status quo could be or is. They can break that barrier, and breaking that barrier is Rahu. Breaking that barrier. So this is something we must understand. Paternal grandfather. Rahu also signifies the paternal grandfather. So your father's father. Remember that. All kinds of, whether you have a good relationship. No, Rahu per se signifies immoral women in Vedic astrology. Okay, women. A lot of men identify as women. So in that case, could be, and also depends upon what planets it's targeting. All right, so yeah, men could be, but significations in ancient text is women, not men. Now, like I said, it deals with the paternal grandfather. Okay, how your relations were with him, with your parents also at the time of your birth, and how they developed over the years. Rahu will signify to that. Rahu will tell you the story. That how will you, are you open with your grandfather? Do you love your grandfather? Or do you hate your grandfather? So yeah, you had to receive something from those immoral women, something that they gave you. Because remember, Rahu is the principle of addition. So whatever they came into your life for, they will add to it. It could be misery. I don't take that away. It could be pain. It could be anxiety. It could be, hurt of all kinds. Mental delinquency is also under Rahu's dominion. So mental delinquency. So, all that. Maternal grandmother, but paternal grandfather. Maternal grandmother. So how whether your grandmother loves you or not, whether you keep in touch with your grandmother or not, what kind of lessons you've learned from your grandmother or not, all of this is gonna show through your Rahu. Remember that. If you also want to correct, for instance, the relationship with your paternal grandfather, you got to turn to Rahu. Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. There are other ways to appease Rahu. Articles that need to be donated, I'll get to all of that. But let us understand the significations first. So now we've got all kinds of, fallacious arguments. So for instance, if you have the Rahu in the 6th, you may see that, you have all these problems with your colleagues at work. Okay, you have all these complications, these kind of, fights, and people may try to blame you. People may try to, question you repeatedly, even though you have proven to do the job. That Rahu in the 6th could play out. Rahu in the 10th sometimes could be, uh, sudden ups and downs in your name, in your social standing, sudden ups and downs. So that's again something that to keep in mind. Uh, Speech that vexes. So, you go on saying something that's extremely vexing or annoying speech. Okay, so I was just having a conversation with somebody who studies astrology, and they were like, Rahu can even signify problems in speech. Rahu aspecting Mercury, Rahu is a malefic, Mercury is a malefic, all of that, right? So even all kinds of speech related disorders could be found through this. Um, Falsehoods of all kind. So any kind of fake news, something that's a fallacy, right? Something that's purposely been spread by either an individual, authority, or a group. So fake news, propaganda, you know, that, yeah, so Rahu does that, Rahu can do that, expressing, keeps it suppressed. It has to do with the it has to do with speech that's vexing. And sometimes, if you're unable to express yourself, it could be vexing for other people, yes, because they want to know what's happening with you, people who love you, people who are close to you. But it's vexing for yourself because you want to speak it out and you want to get it over with, right? So oftentimes, an imbalanced Rahu can create all these kinds of complications and vexations with speech. And then, of course, it signifies, that's definitely not, I can't discuss that here, but I would get to that, definitely. There's just so much to do and so much to say. Now, as I was saying, that Rahu can be, I'm going to, just stay with me, I'm going to talk a lot about Rahu. After this masterclass on Rahu, you will know everything you need to about the head of the dragon. Okay, so let us straight out understand widowhood. Widowhood is deeply connected to Mars, yes, to Rahu, yes, Saturn, yes. Okay, so widowhood can occur because of a problematic Ketu in your Kundli or Nakshatra chart, or it may signify coming of widowhood in your D9 chart, because D9 chart is just more available to make predictions. It's just more open to understanding how prediction can be made. Right, like I said, all of this information works with our unconscious. And the more research we put in, the more sadhana we put in, we tend to understand the archetypes. We tend to understand what they signify for us, what they're trying to tell us. Right now, instead of getting into all kinds of disagreements, we need to do more research to understand what is delinquent inside of us. And sometimes we need to dip into the reservoir of dreams to understand from a plethora of our psyche, our body, our mind, our soul, to understand what is deeply troubling us. Why do we seek? Why, our impulses, why are our impulses garnered towards certain things? Why do we feel pulled towards certain things? Rahu is a pull, almost a magnetic pull, to something or to someone. This kind of obsession that you feel, it's platonic in a way, Now, as I was saying, that all kinds of problems with widows and widowhood. So, also how a widow will be accepted in society is shown by Rahu. The circumstances of her widowhood, What will she do with that widowhood? So a lot of this, a lot of this pain is Rahu's domain. Even getting pierced gives you a pain. But you're like, oh, I got pierced. So you look forward to something like a tattoo. That, oh, I got a tattoo. I went through all that pain. But here, look, I have this piece of art. Look, I got my piercing. Yes, it hurt like hell. No, it did not actually. But, it hurt like hell. But yeah, I have got my piercing. So there's always that carrot dangling. But oftentimes there is no carrot dangling. And there is just pain. There's just pain and a lot of pain. So that is something that Rahu gives us. A lot of pain to mature us. It pulls us towards pain sometimes. When we feel like, we are pulled to something. And we're like, why are we pulled to this? This has given me nothing but pain, nothing but devastation, nothing but problems. Why am I being repeatedly pulled over there? Nothing is being promoted. This is a masterclass on understanding the archetype of Rahu. Nothing is being promoted, right? So, as I said, that all of this is a signifier of Rahu. Now, you got to look at multiple charts to see where Rahu is placed, right? I'll get to all of that. I don't know, I've got a ton of notes, but I don't know how much I will be able to complete. So let us understand slowly but surely how we can progress through this. And also deals with swelling. So, swelling, especially in the particular organ where it stays, Rahu. So Rahu in Pisces could mean swelling in the feet, at the feet, okay, in the feet. Swellings of all kinds. Knees could be a Capricorn thing, okay. Yeah, of course. Medusa's head, no, Medusa's head is of course alcohol, but yeah, it's kind of like that energy, it's very deep energy. It also symbolizes drowning. So if you study the chart of a man drowning, you will see Rahu has had to play a role in him in this. Neptune's also drowning, but Rahu is definitely a lot about drowning, poisoning, widowhood, swelling, darkness. Now, darkness of the psyche as well as darkness outside. So people with Rahu prominent in their career house will oftentimes have will oftentimes work in a place which is dark, something to do with darkness. Okay, the Rahu people, if they understand the void, if they understand the darkness, they will become friends with darkness. So, and I don't mean darkness is evil. I mean darkness is all void and infinite potential. Sometimes the darkness can become evil, but that's not what we are talking about. The darkness that Rahu signifies can signify, of course, it's all about realms, It's all about a realm. So in a more materialistic realm, Rahu will show you darkness that is pain, that's lack of knowledge, ignorance. But in the higher levels, it will show you how to journey through the void, right? So all of that, we have to understand that Saturn and Rahu together are pretty good actually. Pretty good. Now another thing that we have to remember is also signifies hurtful words. Hurtful words. So especially any kind of relationships with Mercury. You could be speaking very hurtfully. You could communicate very hurtfully. So that's something to think about. If people are telling you that, my God, you're so rude, can you express yourself differently? Can you say, and also this is seen in Rahu ruled nakshatras. Ardra, Swati and Satavisha. These people can have very harsh speech. That is, moon in these three nakshatras. and dump that aspect by Mercury, which is not a benefic, can create a lot of problems. So Rahu is harsh speech that hurts, hurtful words. You can't take back, and you wish you never said that. And you literally wish that. You wish you never said those things. Because somewhere you didn't mean it. But Rahu just pushes you, just say it. And you just say it. You may regret it later, but all the Rahu people, when you feel this need to say it, just chant Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. Om Brahm Bhrim Bhrom Sa Rahuve Namaha. This is something that we have to understand. Low caste, generally, that the caste system in India was actually divided on your profession. It was created to give, allocate a place in society to people who operated in different professions. So the caste system in the Rig Vedic time was not hereditary. Just because my father is a Brahmin, it's not that I'm going to become a Brahmin. It's only if I do the pujas and if I do the work of a Brahmin, if I study the texts, if I learn the Vedanta, only then, if I seek Brahma Gyan, only then am I a Brahmin. However, if my father is a Brahmin and I go out and I start trading, I do not remain a Brahmin like we see nowadays, but I become a Vaishya, okay, which is somebody who's a trader. So all of this, if I start doing cleaning work, then I become a Sudra. It's because that's the profession I have chosen. So later on, this concept of caste became hereditary, and that's when the later Vedic period, all this kind of caste oppression started. So we must understand that Rahu, like it signifies lower caste, so it signifies traders. It signifies outcasts in many ways. Like I said, prostitutes, people who live in margins of society. And widows. Widows always lived in the margins of society. Because, they in India till a little while ago, it was almost inauspicious to invite a widow to your wedding, because widows were believed to bring bad luck with them. And if you're a widow, your hair could be cut off, and of course you could be put to sati, which is being burnt at the stake with your husband. Okay, and this practice called sati was an extremely inhuman practice that was meted out to the women, and mostly high caste women, Brahmins, who would there be one Brahmin in all of this in their vicinity, so a lot of women would get married to him, and a lot of them would be burnt, and they would have to perform sati. Now, there's another way that Indian women would also burn, that is, they would self-immolate, because the Mughals or the British, when they would conquer India, and they would rape all the women, and they would take the best looking women and take them as prostitutes for their soldiers. And the better looking she was, she moved up the ranks, and she was used and abused by everybody. So to avoid that fate, self-immolation was performed by many Indian women, and this is not sati, this is something different. Okay, again, it's in a sense, if your husband is killed at war, you don't have anyone protecting you, you don't even have enough food to feed your family, and now your village has been attacked, and obviously you're a target, you're obviously going to be taken. And this is the systematic repression that went through, not just in India, but all over the world. We know about the Japanese and their abuse of Korean comfort women, that they would call them. Again, the Japanese believed themselves to be the sun, the descendants of the sun. So according to them, the Koreans were lower. So taking their women and making them, the rape of Nankin. It's a very sad episode in world history. So again, those Japanese men, they tortured most of these Korean women were taken as sex slaves. And actually sexual slavery also has something to do with Rahu. You can see sexual slavery and um, even prostitution can be seen through Rahu. Whether you will ever engage in that act. Widowhood, of course, whether you will marry a low caste woman. Again, low caste. Remember that there are shades to the meaning here. That when we read ancient texts, we must learn to discern, to discriminate. As Jiddu Krishnamurti says, that it's all well and good to study, to read a few texts and to think you're enlightened. But the true wisdom is discernment, to understand the fundamental knowledge that is being presented, the thesis. And there must be an antithesis, for you can disagree with what is being taught. So the understanding of caste, the understanding of immoral women, it is a snake. So Rahu and Ketu, Rahu and Ketu have a lot to do with the Kundalini. As I was saying that gambling, Rahu in the 5th house can be voracious, dangerous, prolific, chronic, pathological gamblers. Drop that with a difficult aspect from Venus, Venus in fall, and there you are, gambling. Rahu Venus, attraction to femme fatale. Now, heretic. So again, I said people who stand at the fringe of society or societies. The heretic, the one who does not believe. You're like, oh my God, that person believes, that person's God-fearing. So we understand that person's full of Jupiter. Jupiter is belief. So you're like, that person believes. That person does not believe, that person is Rahu. So that person does not believe. He's a heretic. And a lot of heretics were burnt at the stake. Hi, Red. So heretics are also signified by Rahu. All these fringe groups, whether you talk about white supremacist guys who conduct domestic terrorism, or whether it be jihadist supremacist groups, whether it be Hindu fundamentalist groups, all of these guys are heretics in a sense, because we are being taught democracy. In India, we are secular. But yet these people, they are going out and they're saying, no, these people need to be, segregated from society in some way just because they're different. So being a heretic, and there are also some people at the fringes saying that, big corporations need to be destroyed because they are destroying the environment. So Rahu signifies both these extremes. Okay, all extremist activity is Rahu. All subversive activity is Rahu. Now, like I said, a gambler, heretic, falsehood, somebody who spreads falsehood, somebody who is cunning. Or an imbalanced, strong Rahu person will be very cunning. As cunning as a fox, as sly as a fox. That's almost that energy you will get. Cunning. They will do anything to achieve their ends. Anything for the odds and ends, okay? They will make you stick your neck out because they want what they want. They're very sure about what they want. And what you want may not have anything to do with what they want, and then you are up to be destroyed. Okay? So remember, cunningness, mean-mindedness, backbiting, hypocrisy, maligning someone's name, maligning an organization's name, all of this is again Rahu, giving you all that energy to do that. So keep that in mind. Bad habits, self-sabotage and bad habits, codependency, Of course, if it's a seventh house Rahu ill aspected, you know, in a grave condition, then yeah, codependency with the spouse, and not understanding a healthy relationship. In a way, Stockholm syndrome. Okay, now okay, sinking with ships. So a Rahu, Titanic must have had a Rahu uh, complication when it hit that iceberg. So sinking the ship and drowning with the ship. What happened to Jack, right? When Rose left him and she could only be rescued and he couldn't, right? So what happened to him? He was almost going through a huge Rahu Dasha, and Rahu was possibly a hardcore malefic for him. He drowned, and that has to do with, of course, um, Venus, because she was his love. Could also be that Moon Rahu meetup somewhere in his fifth house. God knows, Jack drowning like that. Remember, pleasure with deceased women. This is also another thing that I found in the ancient texts, that a lot of people have fetishes, different kinds of fetishes. So a lot of people like amputees, like, if a limb is amputated, then a lot of people like to amputate, like there are red rooms in the dark, on the dark net, where you can go and you can watch rich people kill other people in rooms called red rooms, which is like a torture room. When I thought red room, almost like Mars Pluto, Mars Pluto opposition, or maybe not a conjunction, maybe a conjunction also, depends. So yeah, and then Rahu, that those red rooms. So in all of that, uh, wanting to control, dominate, strong, uh, and all kinds of amputation as well. I just said people with amputation fetish, or people with any kind of body body issues, where the body is not normal. Maybe a limb is extra, maybe a limb is missing, something. The Rahu person can get attracted to people like that. Okay. There was a man who married this woman who had this whole acid attack on her face. So that, in a sense, could be something that Rahu pushed him to do, and that was a profound expression of Rahu, that he fell in love with this woman and he decided to marry her. And when he say that he did it because he wanted to, get some social media likes and get his name around. A lot of people have said that too about him. But whatever it is, this need to embrace somebody who's diseased in some way. Very interestingly, that people have something called Munchausen, where they pretend to be sick. They pretend to be diseased so their partner can love them, so they can get more acceptance from society. I think there was this show on Netflix recently called Mythomaniac, where this lady, her husband's about to leave her, so she sort of fakes cancer. I've not watched it, but I don't have much time to watch Netflix now, but I just gaze through the trailers and sometimes just skip through and watch a bit. Honestly, that's what it's come to now. But Mythomaniac, pretending to be diseased for somebody to love you, because again, Rahu is mental delinquency. And that has to do with disease, and that has to do with keeping somebody in control because of your disease. Right? And then people have Munchausen by proxy, where they make their children sick. The children are perpetually ill or rush to the ER. Why? Because their mother wants to keep the child sick, so she gets an elevated position in society. So people respect her. Be like, oh my God, look at that woman, she or man, and she's having to deal with so much. She's got a sick baby, someone's sick around her all the time. So again, this Munchausen by proxy. I believe all of this is kind of like Rahu's domain, to understand all of this. Now, like I said, hypocrisy, I told you that already. Stones, all kinds of stones, right? So if you just are in the woods, you can just make a little tower of stones, and you can just, each stone you can chant Om Brahm Brim Brom Sa Rahuve Namaha, Om Brahm Brim Brom Sa Rahuve Namaha, like that. And then you can meditate over there. That'd be nice. Leprosy. So Mother Teresa, and God bless her, may she rest in peace. But a lot of people are saying a lot of bad things about Mother Teresa now. So I'm not going to get into all of that. Whether she was just a front for the Vatican to convert people and move big money, I don't know. But I want to say that Mother Teresa worked with leprosy. When nobody would touch the lepers, Mother would not only feed them, she would hug them. She would take them in to the missionaries of charity in Calcutta, and she would feed them, she would clothe them, and all of that. So again, this thing with leprosy, and I think that Mother Teresa in some way was doing Rahu's work by, looking after people with leprosy. And again, Rahu is a backbiter, hypocrite, big money mover, subversive money movement. So all of that fits right in. She was doing something Rahu was pushing her to do. And I guess it's so interesting once you get into it. Rahu also signifies strength, and strength of your mind in some way, strength of your will in some way, depending upon the house, the sign, the planets it's aspecting, the nakshatra. It speaks of strength, gives you, and I told you it adds. So if you figure out how to add strength, it adds. Expenditure, believe me, yes, because any kind of freak, like for instance, people have a very chaotic time with the eclipses, right? And excuse me, Rahu's involved with the lunar eclipse, Ketu with the solar eclipse. Now, when you see lunar eclipses, and there's quite a lot of, people losing money, people having unbelievable sudden expenditures, abrupt expenditures. Suddenly appliances are falling apart, and you need to get them fixed, or some kind of thing goes wrong with the contract and they're not going to take it back, so you've got to buy a whole new thing, or you need to pay from your own pocket to fix it. So that's something that Rahu definitely deals with, all kinds of expenditures. Dignity as well, how you master dignity. Mars is strength, courage, but Rahu also gives you strength, courage, and dignity. See, Satavisha people are extremely dignified. And, Nakshatras, Saturn, and that Rahu, extremely dignified individuals. And then we have, of course, enemies. Rahu in the 6th, Rahu in the 12th, lots of enemies. They're going to just come at you, they're going to attack you, they're going to, backbite, hypocrisy, abandon you. Sense of abandonment also looms large with this Rahu energy. Now, the thing with this is, right, I've already told you epidemics. Epidemics, believe me, the coronavirus and all other viruses. Okay, adulterer makes you a philanderer, makes you salacious, lewd, even abusers sometimes. I said Stockholm syndrome, so you can become the kidnapper and the kidnapped. Even the kidnapped falling in love could be, yes, enemy. So again, Om Brahm Brim Brom Sa Rahuve Namaha. You gotta stay away from accidents, because accidents can happen easily with Rahu, especially if Rahu is malefic during its dasha period. Okay, and during, of course, when the eclipses are heavy, and those people with Ardra, Swati, and Satavisha. Take care of accidents, and also buttocks, or the bum. The bum can get affected. Rahu also rules the bum, the buttocks, exiles of all kinds. When somebody's exiled, be it for, political reasons, be it for social reasons, economic reasons, or when someone's exiled from a country, or an author is, for instance, or a filmmaker is exiled because, they're speaking out the truth about government, that I say subversive. So when, someone's whistleblowers, all kinds of whistleblowers are like Rahu. They're like out there telling you the truth, their version of the truth, remember. And they think that's it. That is the version of the truth that you need to hear. Now, as I said, gambling and addictions, like, adrenaline play. I don't mean addictions in the sense Neptunian or Jupiterian addictions, but I mean the need for adrenaline, the need for, fast cars or bling or quick money. It's just going to take you down, down, and down. Okay, so keep that in mind. Any kind of handicapped situation can happen in your life, like where you could become a handicapped or you could become disabled in some way. Look for Rahu. Get your astrologist to study your Rahu. God forbid that never happens to anybody listening, but that's what Rahu will signify. Also, it signifies inventor, because we know Aquarius is like the biggest inventor, right? And Satavisha is a nakshatra fully in Aquarius. And Rahu, lot of people say that Rahu rules Aquarius. So, there's that thing that's always there with Aquarius. Rahu's super strong in Aquarius. So, a well-placed Rahu in Satavisha would be supremely powerful, very powerful. Now, also liquor, alcohol, okay, and not just to drink, but to also make use of alcohol to do something. As I said, Rahu is an inventor, likes to invent all kinds of things. Something we may not even understand today, but the future will understand, right? And we see this kind of peak Rahu energy of, and Swati, Saturn is exalted in Swati. So immediately you see that, okay, Rahu and Saturn have a kind of friendship, right? Saturn's like, okay, look, I'm going to be exalted in your domain. So that must mean something. Now, when we talk about alcohol, dealing with alcohol, Rahu, Venus, third house, dealing with alcohol, or Venus aspect, Rahu in the third house, selling alcohol to the neighborhood, having maybe a shop that sells alcohol and all of that. Other castes, so whatever, like I am a Brahmin, all the other castes. So that's a signifier of Rahu for me, how I'll deal with them, how I will work with them. Quarrels of all kinds, smuggling. So again, we see that gang mentality, that mafia mentality, the Pablo Escobar type is a Rahu type. Okay, you should watch this, not Narcos, but there's another program. I think it's completely in Spanish, and you got to read the subtitles. It's huge, humongous. It's on the life of Pablo Escobar. Very Rahu energy. So any kind of smuggling, even Daud Ibrahim, who was responsible for the Bombay blasts, was again very Rahu. Even the 26/11 attack in Bombay, and we just passed 26/11 a few days ago. So it makes sense to mention that the people who came in to Bombay city, and our city is pretty safe. Nobody just comes in and starts shooting up like that. We don't experience things like that. And we had that, 26/11, the great tragedy at Taj and all that, all those places. So that's a very Rahu thing to do. Come up and start shooting up a hotel or start shooting up people randomly. School shootouts also possibly. Third house, hard aspected Rahu. But yeah, we don't have school shootouts here, so that's completely alien to us. But I mean, I can only empathize with what could happen. I mean, I watched that, the white elephant, the elephant or white elephant, I forgot, about the school shootings. It was just disastrous, disastrous. Again, spying. Okay, they say that the you never know about the best spies. If you know about a spy, for instance, like Mata Hari or somebody, then they are not the best spies. For you, you can never know the best spies. So spying, whether it be for corporations, whether it be for personal romantic reasons, or whether it be for a country, when you're spying for a country, or if you're traveling abroad and spying, Rahu in the ninth house, right? So all of this is pretty interesting stuff to think about. Suicide. Most people commit suicide because of Rahu's push. So even suicide prevention and giving support so somebody doesn't, kill themselves off. So this, no, we started ages ago. We started ages ago, 1 hour. Okay, so all of that, like suicide. So suicide hotlines also again are very Rahu energy, and how even tactic, when you think about the SWOT. Okay, SWOT is very Rahu energy again, special weapons and tactics. Now, very very Rahu. They move in stealthily. They go in. They check the whole perimeter. They infiltrate correctly. So that's also very Rahu. The SWAT teams, crowd control. Again, I told you that Rahu in a sense has to do with either it's the kidnapper or it's a kidnappee, the person who got kidnapped. So both of these things can play out. Either you are the Messiah or you are submitting to the Messiah. Whatever it is happening on the fringes of society, or the fringes of your understanding or your psychological go-to. Now, all things venomous. Please take care. Somebody during a Rahu Dasha can marry a widow. Okay? If it's a ninth house Rahu, marry a widow who's a foreigner. Stuff like that. Wrestling. Interest in wrestling has to do with Rahu. So sumo wrestling. Indians also actually had a huge culture of wrestling, or kusti as we called it. And Bajrangabali or Hanuman was even kusti people, guys who do kusti, they worship Hanuman. Because Hanuman used to do kusti. And he was a balwan. That means he had a lot of strength. Now again, when we think about hunting is very Rahu thing to do. Hunting is very Rahu thing to do. Slavery. No, I don't think I can go so, I can break it down like that, but no, I'll try. So, and having a short temper, which I explained to you, it's a Mlecha planet. Now, some of the professions, any kind of research work, speculators, gamblers, lawyers, scholars, surgeons, medical people, people who deal with electricity, people who deal with, Ardra is a storm, it's an electrical storm that Rahu brings about. People who deal with corpses, even somebody who works at a morgue, a mortician, right? Those people, airlines, flying, aeronautics, any kinds of profession, any kind of profession that is erratic, and that has to do with cruel nature. So when you think about maybe Rahu in the second house and some other things happening to it, you could be a dominatrix and make money. Because that sadism that Rahu brings is actually helping you make money. I was just explaining this to a friend of mine in the US who happens to be a domina. since she's all Rahu in the second house, a lot of other things which I'll not get into. Satavisha again. Now, and that actually becomes healing because Satavisha has 100 healers. So given to any profession that is cruel in nature, anything that all those guards, prison guards, that's so Rahu, because guards, you have to stand guard, and you have to keep the prisoners in line. You have to keep them in check, so you don't have a revolt in front of you. And you got to call the SWAT teams, again very Rahu. Revolt, Rahu. People who deal with leather meat cutters, people who work in foul smelling places, people who pack meat, also electronic people who work leather, I told you that. Slaughterhouses, all are signified by Rahu. Slaughterhouses. Thieving, sorcery, tantrics, very Rahu career. Tantra, very Rahu career. Dealing with poisons, like I told you, homeopaths, drugs, pharmaceutical companies, doctors, in a way, I told you, especially people who do research in medicine, very Rahu. Any kind of Saturn related professions are also pretty much under the purview of Rahu, because this is Satyacharya. As per Satyacharya, Rahu rules over professions attributed to Saturn. So Saturnine professions will all be again coming under the purview of Rahu. So now Rahu's sex, every planet has a sex, we know. So sex of Rahu is male. Southwest. Southwest is the directionality of Rahu. Mantra, I told you, Om Brahm Brim Bromsa Rahuve Namaha. Lucky stone. Many of my clients want stone therapy, crystal therapy. So lucky stone is Gomed. Gomed or onyx. Suleimani Gomed. For female, you have to wear it in a platinum ring. Okay. In the left hand, second or third finger, Gomed. Left hand for women. Okay. And male in Panchadhatu ring. Five metal ring in the right hand, second or third finger. See, Gomed is always worn in these two fingers. Women in platinum, men in Panchadhatu. So platinum, Gomed, and everything will depend on the carats you're wearing. How many carats of the stone. That only an astrologer will be able to tell you how many carats you need to wear and how to source the stone. So just because someone says it's a Gomed does not mean it's a Gomed. You have to go to the right gemologist, who's also an astrologer, who will tell you the right Gomed. So that's something that you need to think of. And the deity associated is Mahashakti or Durga, and Nagaraj, or the Nagas, right? Articles of donation. Sarso is mustard, mooli is radish. Blankets, you can give blankets to poor people. Til, sesame. Lead, I don't know, lead's dangerous, so let's not go there. Saffron or saffron, but saffron is very expensive, so not possible for everybody. And Satnaja, which is a mix of 7 grains. And coal, you can also donate coal on Thursday evening, remember that, or Monday morning. These articles of donation need to be done Thursday evening or Monday morning. No problem. That's a very good thing. Very good thing. You can always use saffron for anything. It's really good. Appearance, arrogant, almost like know-it-all, can suffer from rheumatism. Okay, and this is Rahu in the first. Also Rahu moon, Nakshatra chart, which places your moon sign, sign as the first house. fierce looking, cruel looking. Rahu on the ascendant, cruel looking person. Maybe either the look in their eyes, or the puckering of their lips, the way they look at you, cruel looking. Okay. Now, fierce, tall stature, and also dark complexion. Rahu on the rising gives dark complexion. Governs feet and breathing. So again, I told you Rahu, especially in Pisces, can herald a lot of problems. Yes, a lot of problems with the feet. Ardra again, lungs and breathing. Rahu in Ardra. No matter what. And rheumatism. That's something. Rheumatism. I said rheumatism last time, but rheumatism. When you're rheumatic, arthritic, that can happen. Now, ailments. Let's understand some of the Rahu ailments. Because, Rahu gives pretty much, if you understand Mars, Saturn, Rahu, in your, Saturn, you will understand disease in your charts. Right? So you've got spleen, diseases of the spleen, and adrenaline glands. You could fall from high places. Okay, so falling, drowning. Or I told you about drowning. All kinds of intestinal diseases. Insanity. I told you Rahu rules mental delinquency, so insanity for sure. Ulcers. I told you skin diseases. All of this come out the skin disease thing. Debility, that means enervated, loss of energy, where you feel tired, exhausted. And also I've noticed that diseases that are very difficult to diagnose are usually Rahu. That's why they say that if you catch a disease during Satavisha Nakshatra, it's chronic. You won't find answers easily. You won't be diagnosed easily. Simple. So again, somehow connects to the Chironic myth, because Satavisha is 100 healers. And if you get a disease in Satavisha, you cannot, in a way, heal it. So, the wound can become the medicine. That's what I'm saying. We saw how Rahu heals with poisons. Rahu deals with poisons. Rahu deals with subversion, deals with harsh speech, lies, fraudulent behavior, vexations of all kinds, mental vexations. And feet and skin. I have to repeat, feet and skin, all kinds of diseases. If you are suffering, then get your astrologer to look at how Rahu is acting and give you remedies accordingly. The correct remedy will solve all the problems for you. And that means your astrologer will have to cast, of course, your Kundli chart, Nakshatra chart, as well as your D9 chart, can go for Ashtavarga chart, but will also have to cast your Lal Kitab chart, which is your annual chart. Now, let's understand some things it represents again. Quick run through. Materialism. Rahu can make you look old and bald. Old and bald. Rahu. And a planet of transcendental activity. So the realm of the ethereal. Rahu can take you to the Lord of, and of course you have to see that where is Rahu placed. That Lord, the sign and the nakshatra, all of this, right? Also foreign people, foreign castes, foreign lands and foreign travel. A lot of immigration, Immigration is because of Rahu. Very interesting. Now, prominent qualities of Rahu: eccentricity. And it gives something called Vairagya Karak, Jnana Karak. So it gives you Vairagya, which is renunciation, Jnana Karak, like Saturn is Moksha Karak, right? So when you say about Vairagya Karaka, that's why Moksha Karaka and Vairagya Karaka, Saturn and Rahu go so well together. Because Vairagya, renunciation, leads to Moksha. So Vairagya Karaka Rahu will help you understand the principles of Father Saturn or Shanidev, and he will take you to the Moksha Karaka himself. Jnana Karaka gives you gyan through all of these problems, through all of being a heretic, being an outcast, being a liar, being a cheater, being a backbiter, being a hypocrite. Rahu is teaching you something. So you must understand that just because you are, there was this story of Valmiki. Now, Valmiki was a dacoit. So Valmiki would steal from people all through the day and all of this. And then, he stole, he killed, he did everything. And then in the end of his life, he did some good work. Of course, he's Brahmarishi. They said that somebody told him to chant Rama. But because of his excessive sins, he could not chant Rama. He started chanting Mora, Mora. And then Mora, and it's a Bengali story actually. And Mora means dead. So from Mora became Rama. So again, we see that being a dacoit, having killed all those people, having lived this Rahu life, he got the jnana from the Jnana Karaka to move, to renunciate, to understand the vairagya, the renunciation, and to move towards moksha. Ultimately, he became a Brahmarishi. So this is a very interesting thing about Rahu and understanding its energy, that all is obviously not bad. And of course, I cannot, I'll go through Rahu through the houses. But before that, let us understand Kal Sarpadasha. Kal Sarpadasha, if all the planets are caught in between Rahu and Ketu, then a Kala Sarpadasha is formed. So the whole other side is empty. Rahu and Ketu are the opposites, 180 degrees. All the planets are bam there. Right? In fact, a Kala Sarpadasha is on right now as we speak. So all the planets being hemmed between Rahu and Ketu is what brings about this very special conditions. A condition that's almost like a quickening. But it's a very problematic yoga. And natives have ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. Some of the biggest politicians, some of the biggest artists have managed to master the energy of Kal Sarpadasha. Some of the most futuristic people have Kala Sarpadashas. It's not all bad. Now, people who have Kala Sarpadasha, it can complicate your life. Everything you do can seem futile, can seem like, it's just, and especially when the nodes are activated. Oh my God, it's like on steroids. Your life gets to be like, this is the downfall is like on steroids. So remember that of course there could be, there's Kala Sarpadasha Khandan, but that's not what I'm going to talk about here. Remember that Kala Sarpadasha brings about a lot of suffering and pain to show you the greater truth, to help you understand Vairagya, to help you understand Jnana. Now Rahu in the first house. I'm not going to do the signs, or maybe I will. I've got notes for all of that. Weak health. Rahu in the first house, weak health, and a lot of family problems. A lot of family complications, like, you can talk a lot, be very, very talkative, and you may feel like no one's listening. Principles, morals, you may lack all that. You may have protruding Bugs Bunny teeth with Rahu in the first house, selfish. Not insanely selfish, hopefully, but selfish. Uh, Somehow, Rahu in the first house natives, whatever they do, right, they feel like whatever they do is beneath them. Like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Why am I doing this? This is beneath me. I can't deal with this. I don't want to do this. I hate this. This is beneath me, right? Uh, so sense of self-worth, dignity. Again, dignity is actually Rahu's. Thank you. Rahu's scenario, dignity again gives you dignity. But can make you a deep thinker. In abstract terms, deep thinker, potent and deep thinker. However, character will be rigid, not flexible, not ready to look at other people's viewpoints, not flexible. Okay, addicted to evil deeds. You might want to just go around the loop and you keep doing the wrong thing, keep doing the wrong thing. That's something you got to think about. Shrewd and cunning personality and fierce look, fierce look, and strong attachment for material pleasures. You want money, you want a good life, you want that car, you want that house, you want that purse, you want all of that. And if you land up controlling money, you will most likely hoard money. Second house, you'll be fairly rich. All right. Yes, I completely agree. So I'll remember Vairagya Karaka and Jnana Karaka. So yeah, fairly rich, but you'll always be worried that, oh, I may not have enough. I'm worried about something or the other, honestly. Uh, dilly-dandering, pilfering, non-stop pilfering. Uh, you can earn money, thank you. You can earn money through your state, wherever you stay. You can work for the government and earn money with Rahu in the second house. All right. And however, there could be a break in education. Rahu in the second house, people. There could be a break, physical break in education, either due to some kind of tragedy, some accident, or literally learning disabilities. Some kind of learning disabilities, remember that. Very touchy, and can also have speech problems like stuttering or rickets, where you abuse. It's rickets, I think, yeah. Earnings through subversive means. You believe the end justifies the means. You've got this kind of money in your bank or in your hands, and you're like, okay, I don't care what I did. It's fine with me. I've got this money, and you've already spoken to yourself about that. I have this family to support, or I have this to do, or I have that to do, something or the other, right? So you tend to justify why you need to earn that money that is actually unfairly earned, right? Now, the domestic issues with Rahu in the second can be quite problem. A domestic dispute, domestic problems like with the husband. Husband could be beat you up, especially with Mars over there. Uh, there'll always be fighting in the family, bickering, you know. Relatives will try to dominate you. Second house Rahu. Relatives will try to dominate you and exploit you. And sad to say, but a lot of people who have Rahu in the second have in-laws who try to dominate them, who try to extract money from them, who try to control them, and very opportunistic, their in-laws. Rahu in the second house. Okay. And also you will see that There will be like some kind of burdensome responsibility. You know, like no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, at home there'll always be like you have to do too much. And even if you do too much, it's not enough. So responsibilities will be through the roof. Burdensome, bothersome, tiring. Like you can't get out of it, like no matter how hard you try, right? But if you balance this Rahu, you will have money. Money, money, money. So don't forget that. Third house Rahu is actually quite nice. Somebody asked me that. Nice. Happy and long life. Of course, unless Rahu is a malefic and other complications are happening. So you got happy and long life. Very dignified. Very proud of yourself. Proud of your accomplishments. Proud of your surroundings. However, if there is any other complication, there could be quarrels with brothers. Rahu in the third house, people. Quarrels with brothers, lots of conveyance, obsession with cars, maybe luxury cars, maybe fast moving cars if you have the money. You know, if the Rahu is balanced in the third house, you will live royally. Royally, I'm not joking. And if you are struggling with the Rahu in the third, it's time to start Rahu remedies. It's time to consult an astrologer and get all your charts drawn out, especially that annual chart or Lal Kitab chart, to see what remedies can be done. Now, fourth house, you're like quite an authority figure. Ancient texts say that Rahu in the fourth house can be someone who's head of town, like a governor or a mayor, right? Somebody who identifies with the have-nots. Even though he is from the haves, he understands the plight, the problems of the have-nots. So somebody who's in touch with the brass root people, okay? Somebody who's in touch with the brass root people. And no matter what their caste or what their financial situation is, remember that. However, wife's constitution or wife's physical health will not be strong. Wife will suffer. Rahu in the fourth house, wife will suffer. And also money may be a problem. And because of your wife suffering, money may be spent on your wife, okay? And so you tend to lose a lot of money, right? Your relatives and all, you will not see eye to eye. So feuds with the relatives can happen with Rahu in the fourth. Complications, fights, and they can perceive you as somebody who's heartless. I mean, in truth, you can be heartless, of course, but people perceive you to be heartless. All right, people perceive you to be heartless and very stubborn. And Rahu in the fourth house signifies more daughters, okay? And not good for married life. So Rahu remedies is definitely, of course. Rahu may be a male, but you still have Rahu inside of you. All right. So definitely more daughters, not good for married life. And there'll be a lot of friction between the couple. Okay, and there'll be a lot of friction and there'll be a lot of suspicion, a lot of jealousy in the marriage. So that's something that definitely needs balance, okay? And in some cases, if it's a woman, she may see that her husband, who's actually shrewd, quite everything, but is spineless when it comes to his mom or dad or his mother. So domineering mother-in-laws can happen with Rahu in the fourth for both men and women. Now, this also affects siblings of spouse. So they may try to control you, or they may be controlling their estate and giving you money, or they may hold the power of attorney to your inheritance. All right. So this is something. And then we've got friction in marriage will always be there, that you need to balance. So Chishta Ganapati sadhana takes care of Mars, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, also Venus, also Saturn. So Uchishta Ganapati sadhana actually takes care of Navagraha. So mother will have a long life with Rahu in the fourth, but father will not be very close. Father will not be very close. There will always be a distance between the native and the father. All right, now fifth house issues. We've come to fifth house issues. Of course, you got Rahu in the fifth. Your first child will be a female. However, fifth house of children. So Rahu in the fifth house means you will not have a lot of kids, limited progeny, maybe one or max to max two, if you're really lucky. All right, very makes you very short tempered. Makes you very short tempered, angry, even angry with your lovers for no reason, and you just get really angry. And also, Rahu in the fifth can sometimes give rise to a nasal tone, maybe the way you talk or the way you laugh. Like we had that Janice character in Friends. You say, "Oh my God," and she'd have this cackling laughter, right? So, yeah, so that is Janice in Friends, right? That's like almost like I definitely has Rahu in the fifth, right? And also people who have Rahu in the fifth, they can have like during Rahu's dashas, Mahadasha, Antardasha, Bhukti, you can get addicted to sex, to porn, to drugs, to gambling, to alcohol, get addicted to a cause, or you can get infatuated with someone. If you have that Rahu in the fifth and you're getting hit by Rahu Dasha. Okay? Sixth house. And I can just see people talking random crap. I mean, can we just stick to the topic? We're not discussing India, Indians, none of that. We're discussing Rahu, right? Sixth house Rahu can be complicated, can be all of that, but enemies. I said Rahu in the sixth, Rahu in the 12th, enemies, right? And however, sixth house gives you the energy to vanquish your enemies, to become absolutely pointless nonsense. Okay, but yeah, we know Mercury was combust in this eclipse, so communication's gone all haywire, and every time I'm live, I have like people responding to all kinds of things, including somebody making a comment about, I don't want to say it, but YouTube will ban my video. But you guys, some of you smart enough, read it. I mean, I'm just so fed up of people just talking shit. Why are you in an astrology video? There are like so many videos out there. You can go and talk shit and, right? Like, why are you here? I don't get that. This channel is for people who want to better themselves. Yeah, I'll get to the, yeah, Rahu and Pisces slightly problematic, you know. I'm not saying you or anybody, I'm saying just random. When you did not make that comment, that XXO guy, and he made that comment how he had a bomb explode when he saw me. I mean, come on. Yeah, people are finding me. I know how Rahu is that, right? Okay, so let's get to understanding that sixth house Rahus. You will be a philanderer. You will be a philanderer. with Rahu in the sixth. So women marrying men who have Rahu in this, I agree. I was almost gonna block him, but then I didn't know what to say. I'm getting like really strange emails as well. Like all those people sending me those crazy emails. I am not looking to get married. I'm not looking to move to another country. I'm not looking to find a boyfriend. I'm not looking for any of those things. Yes, if I dress up and if I look nice, it's because I want more subscribers to like me, to like the way I look. And I agree. So please stop trying to hit on me or trying to send me those messages. Literally, I'm not interested. Okay, now let's understand something that adulterous, very adulterous, women marrying men with Rahu in that sixth, adulterous husband. So definitely you need to seek an astrologer. Now, also another thing, right? Uh, Rahu in the sixth gives this kind of strength, very powerful strength, and in this zone, Rahu makes you push through life's hurdles. Okay, there's a problem there. What do? Let's go and face this head on. Let's solve this. This is what Rahu does in the sixth house. So, as I said, that yes, you will have enemies, but yes, you can vanquish them, and you can vanquish them. Yeah, I know. Luca's always here. Luca does tend to come for all my lives, but no, he's not here. But you guys are here, so I'm happy. And I love you guys. It's so amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, regardless of what I dress like, yes. I mean, I'm not dressing, I'm not being naked. It's just a beautiful dress. It's just a beautiful choli, actually. And there's a fish skirt underneath, and it's a beautiful choli. And in India, we wear cholis like this. They're cut like this. Yes, you'll always defeat your enemies. Remember. Now, you will destroy all hurdles. However, nervousness and problems in your nervous system can occur with Rahu in the sixth. Nervous system issues, uh, disorders of the nerves. So, Kali Phos. Kali Phos is a homeopathic medicine that can greatly help you with nervous disorders. All right, consult a homeopath. For all those people facing it because of Rahu, really help you. Clearing poison with poison. Again, another thing that Rahu in the sixth, something very interesting could happen to you. You could have success through a foreigner, success in your work, because the sixth house is work. So you can have success in your life through a foreigner, somebody who lives far away in a different country. So you can go back and listen to Rahu in the first, okay, and you'll understand all of that. Another thing, Capricorn rising, no, you guys are not. If you have that Rahu in the sixth, you're not going to have success through a foreigner. All other Rashis, yes. Success through foreigner, Rahu in the sixth. Riches you will get. Success over enemies you will get. A lot of materialism. You can really fall into materialism with Rahu in the sixth. Okay, and especially for Capricorn Lagna, you can become very materialistic. Okay, very materialistic. And like Gemini is your sixth house. So yeah, I did make a Ulata Deha Palatal Kaya is the mantra for hair. Ulata Deha Palatal Kaya. Okay, or you can do Kaya Larim, Kaya Larim, Kaya Larim for hair. And while massaging, visualize. Okay, now let's get back to this. Lose morals, Rahu in the sixth, and tons of misfortune. Tons of misfortunes going to come. So, Om Brahm Brim Bromsa Rahuve Namaha. Om Brahm Brim Bromsa Rahuve Namaha. Om Brahm Brim Bromsa Rahuve Namaha. Seventh house. Seventh house, Rahu can come with complications, unprincipled life. You have no principles. You're just going about living your life, doing whatever the hell you're doing, because you are a philanderer and you have loose ways. Okay, you're just going around and you're just literally losing all of the money. Okay, and wife could be having affairs. Like wife could be licentious, having an affair. I'm not saying they have to. Okay, Charles Manson. Oh, whoa. Thank you, Robert. Very problematic. Unprincipled loss of wealth. Yes, we can say wife licentious. I don't know if Charles Manson was married, but all the women were possibly his wives, and they had no hesitation in killing all those people. So yeah, and Sharon Tate, the wife of Polanski, Roman Polanski, who was killed and she was pregnant. So yeah, we can see that. Wife can be licentious with Rahu in the seventh, especially males. If you have Rahu in the seventh, females Rahu in the sixth, husband can be licentious. Men Rahu in the seventh, you will men wife can be licentious and can have an affair. Not that, oh my, I've got Rahu in the seventh, and before you even get married, you keep this thought that, oh, my wife's going to be licentious. No, but it can happen. It can happen. Okay, you have to see other things also, but can make wife licentious. Extremely free spirited, independent wife. You as well. Rahu in the seventh, very self willed. Okay, and also Rahu in the seventh house people can suffer from loss of virility, as in erectile dysfunction, uh, unable to hold an erection. Erectile dysfunction actually has many categories in it. So you can, you may not be able to penetrate, you may not be hard enough, you may not be able to ejaculate. All of this definitions of erectile dysfunction can happen with that Rahu in the seventh house. Loss of sperm count. So, and oftentimes it can also be seen that if you have that Rahu in the seventh house for a male, again, I will stress, your wife may not respect you, or your wife may undermine your authority at home, with your friends, in society. Are you a male or a female? So your wife may try to undermine you. Keep that in mind. Whatever it is, people, understand one thing. Seventh house is the house of marriage. So you don't need to bother about the Rahu in the seventh. This is for the male that I'm going into such great detail. Sorry. The thing I was saying is that with Rahu in the seventh, that's the house of marriage. So with Rahu in the seventh, you will have anything but a conventional marriage. So be open to that possibility if you have that Rahu in the seventh. Male, female, both. You're not going to have, just a missionary sex, just, wife cooking in the house, husband working 9 to 5. Not going to happen. Marriage will be highly unconventional. Now, let us understand that Rahu in the 8th. This can be very malefic, Rahu in the 8th, because it can make you sickly. Sickly of countenance, sickly inside as well, right? Mean, very mean-minded, almost that Four of Pentacles vibe, miserly. Lifespan can be affected. Drowning can happen, death can happen, loss of marriage partner, loss of husband, and this for both male, female. Loss of husband can happen with the Rahu in the 8th. Rheumatism, gout, where you have to really take care of your diet then. Gout can happen, rheumatism can happen. You may not have children, or one child who's sickly, or one child who's autistic. I'm not questioning that, okay, autistic kids don't bring value or something like that. I'm just saying that this is what could happen. What you do with your child, how you change his, her circumstances, and how you better their life is entirely up to you. But you could have limited children, and if you have a child, that child could be mentally, physically compromised in some way. Curses can happen. People can put a curse on you. Rahu also signifies curses. So black magic also, because Ardra is pretty much deals with black magic and curses. Very bad relationship with mother-in-law. So there'll also be an immoral side to you, and you just go around doing wrong things. 8th house other people's money, so maybe with other people's money, and you have a callousness about it, like you're not taking responsibility, like you're not taking accountability for it. Like, okay, it's happening, let it happen. Let me just breathe through life like this, conning people, doing whatever I need to do to, rock my boat. So, yes, definitely, definitely. Rahu is deeply connected to homosexuality. Now, another thing is widowhood for women. Women with that Rahu in the 8th. Yeah, all taboo things, of course. 8th house, all taboo things. So, all taboo things. And women, if you have Rahu in the 8th, you may lose your life partner. And you may get remarried again. Now, 9th house. Okay? 9th house Rahu. 9th house is such a good house anyway, but it can make you do unrighteous things. Things that are not righteous. Rahu brings in that righteous house, it brings that subversion. So you can do the unrighteous deeds. You get scared of your enemies, get scared of your opponents in a fight. So if you're a competitive fighter, like a UFC guy or a boxer or something, Rahu in the 9th can actually cause havoc with you, because you can get scared, even though you may defeat that person. Probabilities may be huge that, okay, you will be the winner, but you still get scared to get into the ring. And you can be, just because of nervousness, sheer nervousness and lack of confidence, you can lose the fight, literally. And fight, I say metaphorically. Okay? There could be a rudeness to the way you talk, to the way you express yourself. There could also be reasons why you cause trouble to other people. And, you can be a fanatic or a bigot. People can think you're selfish. And of course, cruel and cunning, aggrandizing mentality, aggravating, However, there's a very, 9th house is religion, scriptures. So in a sense, the Rahu in the 9th house person can be saying the mantra, studying the text, pretending to be holier than thou. But actually they have a double life, right? They actually have a double life and cheat others while saying, the God is great, God is everything, God will save you, give me money so I will, petition God to save you, and taking thousands and having aeroplanes and private jets and, swanky cars, all of that. So religion can be misutilized in some way with this. Okay, in some way this is heavy. 9th house. 9th house can be quite a complicated scenario. And while they are doing all of this, they expect complete submission from others. So, and also, trying to feel more superior to a foreigner. 9th house also foreigners. So feeling more superior than a foreigner. Oh, look at that immigrant. Oh, yeah, definitely. Look at that immigrant, go back to wherever you came from. I'm better than you. Stuff like that can happen with that. Rahu in the ninth. I've seen like a woman in London start hitting a man. Start hitting a man because he was Arabic. Start hitting a man in a bus somewhere in London. So that's a very Rahu in the ninth house expression. Uh, Now 10th house, right? Yeah, it's some crazy viral videos out there, man. This is a good thing, Rahu in the 10th, very good for professions, very good for a career, social standing, but can bring sudden downfall. And even if you balance that Rahu and you suddenly, lapse in some way, the downfall can be pretty severe. So, possibly, right? And another thing, okay, this downfall can be quite problematic because you can erase everything with that downfall. Coming up again can be really hard. Okay, you may think like you're working really hard, you're doing everything you can, but your progress is always being checked. Okay, progress is always being marred. You're struggling with your progress, with your social reputation, with what you set out to do, with maybe the amount of money you want to earn. Like always being hampered in some way. Literally don't know what this is, this Rahu in the 10th, okay? But very bold, inspiring to people, and obliging to others when they feel like it. They can be really good Rahu in the 10th house people. Good to others. Not clothed properly. Rahu in the 10th house people, now, it could mean that they may not be very fashionable, but I think what they were trying to say that people who did not like to put on a lot of clothes, maybe nudists in a way, or people who don't like to wear a lot of clothes, or people who like sensual clothes, for instance, right? So, in a sense, Rahu in the 10th house, there's something about your clothes and something about the way you dress. Maybe you wear skimpier clothes than normal. Children also, not too many kids. Rahu in the 10th house, not too many kids. However, there's an attraction to Rahu in the 10th house. Like I told you how 10th house is, when you walk into a room, people perceive your 10th house first. This is a split second, and then they move to your ascendant. So this is something that they look at you, you're attractive to look at. Rahu brings about that fierceness, that you can get feel very attractive to some people. However, the Rahu in the 10th person is not a huge talker. Not like the Rahu in the first house person who's chit, 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 chit. Yes. People observe your 10th house first and then they move on to your rising. Aggressive. Again, aggressive nature. Will do whatever it takes to make money. And you do not have manners, Rahu in the 10th house. You feel very entitled, very privileged, very entitled, not amicable, not amicable. Okay, and you can earn through unfair means. Again, smuggling, all of that, drug dealing. Father will be very long lived, however, with the 10th house Rahu, very long lived father. And there will always be change in career, always changes in career, like sudden abrupt in career. So that's something you've got to figure out with that Rahu in the 10th house, career stability. 11th house makes one very capable for sure, however shameless. So there's no righteousness, so to say, or a different kind of righteousness like bigotry. A lot of trips abroad with this 11th house, and wealthy also. Long life, can have year troubles. But prosperity is overall there, mental prosperity, physical prosperity, financial prosperity. And also sadhana, you should be able to control your mind, control your own senses, your lower mind, and immerse yourself in more abstract thoughts. Philosophize a bit, think beyond. Okay, so all of that is very possible with that 11th house. Very religious, and does a lot of good deeds, but is not always recognized in their lifetime. So a lot of Rahu in the 11th house people may be awarded by the government or by their community at the very end of life or after their death. Not even end of life, actually, post mortem. So pretty much after their death, they will be receiving awards or all kinds of like any kind of like maybe financial funding or some kind of badge of honor or something like that, but they get it post mortem after their death. Very interesting, right? People who are acknowledged later. Now 12th house. 12th house Rahu can be diabolical. Prolonged illness. Okay, continued illness of some sort. Have to do with dreams, anxiety, panic attacks, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, all of that. Always lives away from home, can never live with family. And even if they do live with family, they always feel like the outsider. They always feel like the umbrella. They always feel like the outsider. Okay, they always feel like the outsider, even in a family, and they mostly don't live with their family ever. Um, and for males, you may love your wife a lot with Rahu in the 12th, but at some point, you will be separated from your wife. It could be because of a divorce. It could be because of traveling and work. It could be because of, viruses like coronavirus, because you guys are in two different countries and you are being separated from each other. Or visa work is not done and that person can't come to you or can't meet you. Whatever it is, Rahu in the 12th house will always face separation from their spouse, more so in the charts of males than females. That is definitely something. And expenses always exceed income. D9 is more the right now chart. Okay, what's happening to you right now? Look at your life right now and make predictions with the D9 chart. Now, Rahu in the 12th house people, that drowning and all that poisoning I was just talking to you about, be careful because this can happen to you. So take care you do not drown. Take care you're not poisoned, because even if it's a little poisoning with maybe a burger, it can turn into something massive and fatal. So that's something. Stay away from ships or the sea. I mean, don't try to go on a cruise because something bad could happen to you, depending upon your dasha period, depending upon your nakshatra, but like that. Okay, so take care of that. And however, Rahu in the 12th house does not really want to do bad deeds, but they tend to do some bad deeds, maybe being an adulterer, maybe moving money illegally, and they do this in secret. Excuse me, like they don't inform their family. Hi, and it's gray actually, Luca. It's gray. So they don't tell people that they are doing the misdeed, but they do that kind of misdeed, and they can be incarcerated. They can have secrets, a ton of secrets, and this can also make them a question. Yes, and they can also make them question. This can make them question um, religion and spiritual stuff. All of this, they can start questioning it. They may become atheists or non-believers. Sometimes Rahu in the 12th house, if it's extremely affected. right? They don't believe in anything, nihilists, right? Nihilists. They can become nihilists, no principles, no morals. However, 12th house Rahu can mean a very good tantric, or a very good psychic, or a very good clairvoyant. Okay, so that is something, somebody who can channel very easily from different worlds, channeling. Okay, can be very strong with Rahu in the 12th house. And however, no matter how much success they may have at occultism, tantra, mantra, they do some misdeeds and they fall from that throne of power. And that's also again inevitable. They're being taught renunciation, I guess. So, yeah. Oh, yes, I did. Very. And of course, Rahu in the 12th house, you guys can have some kind of undiagnosed disease. And in many cases, it could be mental. It could be also related to, hello, addiction. Uh, so that is pretty much what I had to say about Rahu through the 12th house. It's like a 2-hour live now almost. So I am not going to go into the science. I think this is pretty hardcore breakdown of yeah, heavy news. Okay, now I just want to say something, that people can have sex phobia or any kind of phobia related to sexuality if Saturn is a Lagnesh and is being aspected or squared by Mars or Ketu. Or for instance, Saturn or Rahu in Lagna in the first house, right? That can give rise to sex phobias. And also Saturn and Rahu, if they conjoin the moon, hello, that can also give rise to sexual imbalances, sacral chakra imbalances. That's pretty much it, I guess. So Om Pram Brim Brom Sa. Oh my God, that's quite diabolical. That aspect between Saturn and Venus in the eighth, quite diabolical. However, I just want to say that I have to say some other stuff. I'm not done yet. I forgot. I have some notes on Lal Kitab, right? Like I told you that Lal Kitab, if get your astrologer to cast your Lal Kitab chart, your annular chart, so you can better do remedies of Rahu and Ketu. Depending upon your Lal Kitab chart, the remedies will be decided by the astrologer. Now, I just wanted to say that Rahu signifies certain relationships. Okay, certain planets and Rahu in the first house will signify a business-minded person. Rahu in the second house, for them, their father-in-law becomes very important. Sorry, and it actually signifies Jupiter. Okay, that is just like something completely different, but I will talk about that. Now, third house, if you have Rahu, then you are a dependable friend in money matters. So if you have a person who you are taking advice from, if that person has Rahu either in that Lagna chart or Nakshatra chart or D9 chart, then you can trust them with your money, with the advice they give you about your money. Remember that. Fourth, religious mother's younger brother. Rahu in the fourth house, Mama ji, but your mother will be religious and a brother necessarily may not be. But this is what it signifies, Mama ji, from your mother's side, is Mama. Now, fifth house, people who have Rahu, they can become so unscrupulous that they may even sell their own children. Sixth house Rahu, father-in-law of daughters. So people who have sixth house Rahu, if you have daughters, their father-in-law is going to be signified with that Rahu. Very interesting. As you do Lal Kitab, as you do remedies, it becomes more and more evident. Because when you are targeting, when you, for instance, when you are looking at balancing somebody's relationship with their father-in-law, it's always good to understand the Rahu placement, because immediately you understand that Rahu in the second house is very important for the woman's relationship with the father-in-law. So it may be that she may not have had a perfect relationship with him, but be it in life or death, he is going to play an important part in her life. Now, a seventh house, a talkative person who speaks much in his in-laws' house. So, we all have those kinds of grooms who are like chatterbugs, chatter, 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 chatter. They possibly have Rahu in the seventh. They speak a lot with the in-laws and vex them, upset them, or say something absolutely uncalled for, uncouth, callous. Rahu in the eighth, a cruel person who sharpens sword with his body skin. So this is like, sometimes Lal Kitab gives you coded messages. So it's not always easy to decipher. Thank you. So the thing with Rahu in the eighth is that what do you mean by a cruel person who sharpens swords with his own body skin? So when you say that, you don't even have skin, it's like metal, it's like iron. So again, somebody who has no emotion, somebody who's so cruel, that he's ready to sharpen the sword with his own skin. It gives us a lot of space to think about things. Ninth house, Rahu, a cruel ninth house is miscreant who eases in religious spaces. So Rahu in the ninth house who's possibly, creating some kind of problem for the society, if they take that person for meditation or to the church or to whatever they like, this may still or calm their mind. Rahu in the ninth natives. Rahu in the 10th is an elderly person who observes social etiquette. Saturn's natural house, 10th, Capricorn. 11th, cruel for 2 generations. Rahu in the 11th means you have been, you and your kid or you and your father, cruel for 2 generations. And 12th is excess expenditure entails difficulties which disturb others, especially at night. So because of the expenditures, because of these expenditures that one has, because of the Rahu in the 12th house, there's always going to be some kind of mental imbalance associated with that, and insomnia. I didn't say that. Insomnia, sleep patterns. I mentioned schizophrenia, bipolar, but let me tell you, insomnia or sleep paralysis could also mean Rahu in the 12th house. Narcolepsy, just fall asleep suddenly anywhere. So, Rahu in the 9th house can be very hypocritical because they tend to go subversive. Yes. So, the Rahu in the 12th house can be very deadly like that. But again, Om Brang Bring Grom Sa Rahuve Namaha. Om Bram Brim Brom Sa Rahuve Namaha. So that was it. That was my live show for today. And I want to end by saying, thanking all those people who are, oh, no, I'm not done. I almost forgot. I cannot move away without talking about the 3 Nakshatras that Rahu. One request to you guys would be, if you, while talking to me or later when you're rewatching the videos, if you can just put timestamps, okay? Wow, it's said my own voice. If you can just put timestamps, okay? So that's going to be really good if you do that. Now let us understand the 3 nakshatras that are ruled by Rahu. Okay, so first is Ardra Nakshatra. The span is entirely in Gemini. And no problem, Luca. Just thank you for joining. Please watch the whole video later and like and comment, please. So 6 degrees 40 of Gemini to 20 degrees Gemini is Ardra. I made a detailed video on Ardra, so don't forget to check it out. Ruling planet Rahu. Ta-da! Deity Rudra, Lord of Storms. So Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purvarutwami Bhavandanar Mrityor Mokshiyamamritatva. The Mahamrityunjaya Jap can be used to balance Ardra energy. Okay, symbol is a teardrop. A teardrop, I know that was just so crazy. A teardrop or a human head. So severance of the head. Gana is Manushya, Gana, and animal is a female dog. So I said a lot of remedies of Rahu have to do with feeding a black female dog. I have one right here, a black female rescue, and she has helped me balance my Rahu greatly. Directionality is west of Ardra. Yeah. And primary motivation is karma or desire. Okay. Now, and it is in the domain of Gemini. So it is Mercury and Rahu mixture. Mixture of Mercury and mixture of Rahu. No, you should. You should try to become friendly with them, and you should feed them. Okay. Now, Mercury gives a very intellectual side, and of course, Rahu amplifies the intelligence quotient of Ardra. Very intelligent people, but their problem, no, any breed, actually, black is the best, but any breed. But their problem is curses. Ardra people are known to be cursed, or people do black magic on them. A lot of Ardra natives. And suffering. I told you Rahu brings suffering, right? So now Ardra Nakshatra is first pada Sagittarius Navamsa, ruled by Jupiter. Second is Capricorn Navamsa of Ardra, ruled by none other than Saturn. Third Navamsa is, third pada is Aquarius Navamsa, again Saturn. Fourth pada is Pisces Navamsa, again ruled by Jupiter. Right, so very interesting. Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. Now over here, I want to quickly tell you something very interesting about Saturn and Jupiter, right? And something that Dane Rudyard, right? Dane Rudyard, he's a very soulful Western astrologer and a great person. He said that Saturn and Jupiter have a very interesting relationship, right? Because Jupiter works under the dictates of Saturn and tries to modify and correct according to the authority of Saturn. And Jupiter's been in debilitation in Capricorn, and now Jupiter's moved into Aquarius, again has to be in conversation with Saturn. So there's this very interesting energy that is being played out through this expansion and Jupiterian expansion and Saturnine contraction. Without this, there would be no literal reality, no breakdown of atoms and molecules into matter. So that's very interesting. Now, Jupiter is, as I said, that Saturn gives us structures, and Jupiter receives those structures, manages and initiates within the structure and the boundaries of Saturn. Okay. Now, the thing with what Rudyard says is Jupiter helps us to integrate what the external world has to offer that will contribute to an inner structure. So what we are seeing, what we are experiencing, how do we assimilate all of that and enrich our soul is what Jupiter teaches us. And that is what Jupiter is teaching us. It's contributing to our inner structure from external stimuli. Right? Now, and Saturn provides the order in which Jupiter must operate through. Very interesting. Now, so Jupiter expands and Saturn contracts, and this response that goes on between them is how we operate within 3D reality. Okay, and how we grow in the current framework that has been posited before us. But Uranus doesn't work like that. So that's also something very interesting, that Uranus breaks Saturn's limitations. So, this 24th is the exact square between Saturn and Uranus. So, Uranus will be seeking to liberate us from what is oppressive in the Saturnine structures, whereas Jupiter modifies within the Saturnine structure. And this is something we've seen in evidence as Jupiter moved through Capricorn and has now entered Vedic Aquarius. Still in Western Aquarius as well, tropical Aquarius. But it's very interesting when we understand how these two energies, Jupiter and Saturn, reverberate through Ardra Nakshatra. Sagittarius is Jupiter, Capricorn Saturn, Aquarius Saturn, Jupiter. So Jupiter expands in that first pada, and immediately there's a Saturnine contraction, and I guess things must be compressed, or Saturn is the principle of nigredo in alchemy, nigredo or blackening. So some more contraction, some more blackening before the expansion into the fourth pada. And it's a very compassionate side of Ardra, actually, pada 4. Now we move to Swati Nakshatra. Swati Nakshatra falls completely within Libra. Thank you. And falls completely within Libra, and Ardra completely within Gemini, and Satavisha completely within Aquarius. 3 air signs. Now we've got 6 degrees of 40 of Libra to 20 of Libra. Again, deity is Vayu. Ruling planet according to Vimshottari Dasha is Rahu. Deity is Vayu, a demigod of wind, and goddess associated is Saraswati. So Ain is a very powerful bij for Swati Nakshatra. The symbol is coral. Mars also, coral is sacred to Mars also though. Coral, the crystal. Gana is Deva Gana, so elevated, and Satavisha is Rakshash Gana or demonic. Animal is male buffalo, and directionality is north. And as we had Kama in Ardra, we have Artha in Swati, and we have Moksha in Satavisha. Very interesting. Artha is the primary motivation of Swati Nakshatra. So, and Swati being in Libra is ruled by Venus. So we have a blend of Venus Rahu now. Interesting. And there's definitely a very materialistic side to Swati. Ardra is more the intellectual side, okay, and more the painful side. Now, the thing is, Pavanaputra Hanuman is Vayuputra Hanuman. So, Swati Nakshatra, to balance your Rahu, you can recite the Hanuman Chalisa, or you can even listen to Hanuman Kavach and worship Lord Hanuman. And the third nakshatra that we are talking about is, of course, and no, I've got to get to the padas. So again, same, Sagittarius Navamsa, Capricorn Navamsa, Aquarius Navamsa, Pisces Navamsa. So again, Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. Expansion, contraction, nigredo, expansion. Okay, now this is interesting because we again have Satavisha that falls from 640 of Aquarius to 20 of Aquarius. Vimshottari Dasha planetary ruler is Rahu. Deity is Varuna, god of water. Rudra was Ardra. Vayu was Swati. Now we've got Varuna, cosmic god of cosmic waters. Empty circle, or 100 physicians, or 100 flowers, or 100 demons. nature is Rakshasa or demonic. And female horse is the symbol, is the animal associated to this. Symbol is a circle or 100 flowers. And again, we have a very interesting energy that plays out again with the same, and it's in Aquarius. So now we have a Rahu Saturn blend. So better than Rahu Mercury or Rahu Venus, I think Rahu's energy through Satavisha is possibly one of the best of Rahu's energy. Now, however, both Saturn and Rahu are malefics. Still, Satavisha is the 100 physician. The 100 physician, okay? And of course, these natives go through a lot of pain. Rahu brings with it pain. But again, they bring their own medicine. They consume the poison and make it medicine. Okay? A lot of restrictions and obstacles will come into the lives of Satavisha natives that need to be transmuted. So there's somewhere a need for transmutation. Okay? Again, the Navamsas, the Padas are Pada 1 Sagittarius Navamsa ruled by Jupiter, Pada 2 Capricorn Navamsa ruled by Saturn, Pada 3 Aquarius Navamsa ruled by Saturn, Pada 4 Pisces Navamsa ruled by Jupiter. Again, Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. Expansion, contraction, Nigredo expansion. Now, so we need, so there's now some people have asked me, I'm just reading a message that what are the remedies for Rahu. Now I think a lot of remedies I can suggest with Rahu, but the thing is that what I say is please pray to 3 deities, Ganesha, Uchishta Ganpati. You can take my workshop on Uchishta Ganpati. You can even pray to Ma Durga. Uchishta Ganpati mantra is Hasti Pisasi Lighe Swaha. Hasti Pisasi Lighe Swaha. Hasti Pisasi Lighe Swaha. Hasti Pisasi Lighe Swaha. और ओम नमो भगवते कदमस्राय हस्ति मुखाय लंबोदराय उच्चिष्ट महात्मने आम क्रोम ह्रीं कां घे के स्वाहा. Okay, this is some Uchishta Ganpati mantras. Ma Durga is Bij is Dum. So Om Dum Durgaya Namaha, Om Dum Durgaya Namaha, Om Dum Durgaya Namaha. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini, that whole stotra you can recite, Adya Stotram. Or you can pray to, I think Lord Ganesha will pretty much solve all your problems that have to do with both Rahu, Ketu. Mangal is Mars as well as Sun, as well as Venus, of course, Lakshmi. Also, lighting Ashtalakshmi Deepa with til oil is a very good remedy for people who want to tap into the financial blessing of Rahu. There's a lot, believe me. So, Dum Durgaya Namaha. Now you can use breaking the coconut in your mandir once or twice a week. You can also use chilies and lemons. You have in India, we create a wreath of sorts, okay, a wreath. And we put a lemon in the middle and we put chilies all around it. So creating a wreath like that, and especially for Ardra, Swati, Satavisha natives, Rahu in the 1st, Rahu in the 8th, Rahu in the 7th, those angular houses, you know, this chilies and lemon can be a good resolution. Even salt can work. So having said that, these are some basic remedies that we can do, but you know, you need to get a proper chart, and you need to not only get your D9 and Lagna chart, but you also need to get your annular Lal Kitab chart. According to that, the astrologer will suggest to you what you need to do. So that was a bit about Rahu. Hello. That was a bit about Rahu, not a bit. This was a masterclass on Rahu. And please, all the people watching or will watch in the future, I just want to tell you that please put timestamps in comments. Yeah. I'm quite assertive, believe me. I have no problems of being assertive. I am very assertive. You know, I say it how it is. And I feel like doing it any other way would just be wasting time. And honestly, at this stage in life, I don't have time to waste. So, yeah, I'm pretty assertive. I have no complications or problems with that. But having said that, and you know, Rahu is, like I said, Rahu Ketu are not, okay. Oh, okay. Yes, true, true. I'm very assertive. I have no complications with that. Saturn in Magha, Mercury in Magha, conjunct Regulus. But the Saturn Mercury conjunct Regulus, that is a thing, you know. That's quite a thing. But yeah, so I'm ending the video now. It was nice talking to you guys. And I guess that's it. Thank you for joining me. And I was just trying to send some emails. Tons of people are emailing me. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I have got a lot of requests suddenly. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, put timestamps. And I will. Mantra videos are coming up. I know I have just been getting non-stop emails about mantra videos, but I will definitely make a separate playlist now of just different types of mantras to deal with different types of issues. So having said that, please don't forget to donate. Don't forget to book a reading. And see you tomorrow, hopefully, with an equally detailed masterclass where I shall be talking about Ketu, or the tail of the dragon. Thank you so much and speak to you soon. Bye.